everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a very general but very important video about things you need to know before you move to Canada. And before I get started, few things that I want to say. I was going to say three, but doesn't matter. So the first thing that I wanted to say was that if you see me look down, it's because I have written down the things that I wanted to talk about, and these are things that I've been getting a lot of questions about over the last couple weeks that I have been away. So all the sort of really common questions that I've been getting, I've made note of them, and I want to make sure that I answer as many of them as I can in this video. Speaking of which, it's been so great to see the amount of response that I've been getting from these videos and this channel. I've gotten a lot of messages on my Facebook page. People have started responding more on YouTube as well, and I am trying to reply to as many messages and comments that I can, and if I haven't gotten around to it yet, be sure that I will either answer your question or I have already answered it in a video. The important thing that I wanted to say with regards to the comments and everything that people are saying is that I do not appreciate any form of vulgarity, profanity, aggression on this channel towards me or anyone. So if you do leave any kind of negative comment or negative feedback, it will be deleted and you will be blocked from this channel. I do not have the need to add people if they are going to be negative and aggressive. I'm trying to provide you guys with the best information that I can, but it is obviously based on my personal experience in whatever country that I am talking about. I have not visited every single nook and cranny in every single country or city in the world that I'm talking about. So everything that I'm talking about is based on where I have lived or what I have experienced. If you have something else to say or share with everyone, please do let everyone know, because people are here for information. But I think you are able to do it, and I think everyone has the capacity to do it in a friendly and a normal way without it seeming aggressive or it sort of attacking anyone by any means. So just be aware of that. It's not a threat. It's just, it's something that I don't want around me. I don't like negativity around me by any means. So if you want to sort of continue that kind of behavior, this is probably not the sort of platform or portal for you to do it. I do appreciate people being, good and kind with their words, and I'm trying to answer people's emails, but I also do not appreciate guys sending me messages asking me personal details about how to get in touch with me, where I live or what I do, etc., etc. Any information I want to share with you guys, I am sharing, and I do have a personal life that is personal. Anything I want to talk about, I will definitely get to it when the time is right. So please don't waste your energy and time by sending me messages that I am not going to reply to. As much as I do appreciate the love and support, I think let's just kind of draw a line and let's not make it borderline stalkerish, because it's not healthy. So anyways, I'm really sorry for that long but very important and much needed rant. So let's get to the video and talk about things you need to know before or while you are in Canada or you're considering moving to Canada. Now, Canada is a bilingual country. So what that means is Canada, they speak English and French. The cool thing is that in the bigger cities especially, a lot of the businesses will have signs outside saying that these are the languages that people speak inside this facility. So for example, especially in a bank, you can go in and they will say, we have people here who speak Mandarin, Cantonese, English, Arabic, Hindi, Punjabi, French, etc., 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 etc. So if you have any language barriers, in which case you probably are not watching this video, or if you know anyone, rest assured that in Canada it's very immigrant friendly, it's very multicultural, and the country has done its best to facilitate sort of methods and means to ensure that everyone sort of feels like a sense of belonging and everyone has help when they need it in whatever language they need. And the cool thing is this actually also extends onto call centers, so you can call a call center for a few companies, I don't think this applies to every single company, but the bigger companies, when you do call their call center, they will give you the option of more than just English and French, which I think is really, really good, and it speaks volumes for how accepting Canada is of different races and cultures and things like that. I have been getting a lot of questions about racism in Canada and racism in Australia. I think that it's sort of a really, really relative topic. I have never had any kind of racist experience in my life other than sort of the normal stuff, like, being bullied as a kid for looking different, or people asking you about why your skin is a certain way when you're like 5, 6 years old. I have not been called any sort of vulgar terms. I haven't been asked to go back to my country. What does happen a lot is where people ask you, where are you really from? And it's a very, very annoying question, but I like to have fun with it. And other than that, I think it's a really good country. People are fairly welcoming. I haven't had any bad experience in my life, and I've lived in Canada for a very long time. So, but that I've noticed also varies. Like, I've traveled to different parts of Canada where people have just kind of asked me a lot of questions about where I'm from and, you know, things like that. But I don't think it's racism. I think a lot of people actually just don't know because they live in small towns and things like that. So that's a whole different long, 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 long story that I'm not going to bore you guys with. I don't think Canada is a racist country, but I think there are people who are just disrespectful, rude, and I'm not sure how profane I'm allowed to be on YouTube, or what words I'm allowed to say. But some people are just outright wrong and shouldn't say or do certain things. Fortunately for me, that is not an experience I've had. Most of the people I've met are pleasant, and then there are just people who are constantly having bad days. So things like that happen everywhere. The only country that I went to where I did experience racism was in England, and that was the first time I was called an extremely negative term that was linked with terrorists and things like that, and it's not a great feeling to be spoken to like that, and it didn't leave a bad taste in my opinion of the country, but I think it was a day that I was very stunted and I didn't understand what was going on. So, anyways, this video will be way too long if I start talking about my life. Now, the cool thing is that people have been asking me, if they move to Canada and they want to learn French, what is the process? The really, really amazing thing that Canada also has in place, this is very true and it's done through the government, is that you can learn English and French for free. So there are classes that are set up for immigrants. So if you are not a Canadian citizen, you can go to these classes and you can learn basic French and English skills. Now, the link I will try and provide for you guys down below, but easy enough, you can just Google it, and there are centers that are up and running all over Canada where you can go and do this. The sad thing is that if you are actually a Canadian citizen, you can't do them. Maybe this has changed in the last 5 or 6 years, because I was really keen to refresh my French, and unfortunately it was not a facility that is in place for Canadian citizens, but it's only for new Canadians or people who have migrated to Canada. So as long as you can show them that you are not a Canadian citizen, you can actually go and learn basic French, and you can also refresh your English if you need it. So it's a great facility, and I think it's really good that people need to know about. A lot of people actually don't. So of course, it's not going to prepare you to become like some crazy French-speaking person, but you will learn basic things that you might need to go about your day-to-day life. If you are living in Quebec, that's probably another thing that you want to pick up and just be able to get around, even though everyone really does speak English in Canada. Okay, do you need to know French? No. Like, I know French, but I've probably never had to speak it in my life, ever. with the exception of if I was writing an exam or studying for something, I have never really needed to know French. The only time it's really, really important is if you're applying for a government job, but even then, you need to be a Canadian citizen and then you need to take all these tests to prove your fluency in the language. And I mean, ain't no one got time for that. Like, I just prefer to work in English. So you don't need to know French, but if you do want to work with the government with specific jobs, you do need to learn the language. A lot of MPs and a lot of parties within the government that are not based in Ottawa or Quebec, like they're in Vancouver and Toronto, they don't know French. So it's not the be all and end all of the world, but it does kind of improve your chances of getting a specific job sometimes. If you're in Quebec, most people do speak English. Not everyone does. There are people that you might meet when you're in Quebec who don't speak a word of English, but for the most part, you will survive and you would be totally fine. But English, yes, you definitely need to know it unless you want to kind of go to Canada and like live in a sort of community of whatever background you are from, in which case I don't think that's a good idea. I think you should learn English. And if you don't know English, you can go to Canada and go to one of those free classes and centers and learn. Now, what is the best place to live in Canada? This is a question I probably receive a couple times a week from someone or the other. I have a lot of people sending me emails asking me, what is the best place to live in Canada? I've gotten a job offer, I've gotten into uni, I'm moving from this part or this part or this part. Okay, let's get one thing clear. Canada is a massive country, and even if it was a small country, the thing is that it really depends on you. Like, I in Australia love Sydney, and certain people hate it. Certain people love Perth, some people like Tasmania, some people like Queensland. So it really, really depends. In Canada, I'm more of an East Coast girl. Like, I am not a fan of the West Coast. I personally would not live there. I grew up in Toronto and then I did my university in Ottawa. So I'm sort of like, I like that end of the country. Vancouver, the benefit of it is that it doesn't really get snow. It does get snow like a couple centimeters in the winter. If you go obviously north into the mountains, then you're hitting dead winter. But the reason why a lot of people move to Vancouver from the warmer parts of the world is because of the temperature. The temperature in Vancouver is a lot like London or Melbourne. Like, it's kind of rainy mostly throughout the year. It does have beaches. The culture is much more artistic. If you're looking to become like, an actor or something like that, I think Vancouver or Toronto are the places to go. But Toronto is a lot more corporate. Vancouver is a lot more artistic, and then Montreal is sort of like being outside of Canada altogether in a very, very good way. It's very beautiful. It's very, people are always really dressed up. Everyone looks really good all the time. So it just sort of really depends on what you're looking for. A lot of the people who go from Australia, for example, who are surfers or play a lot of sports, they like to go to Vancouver because of all the sort of adventure things that are around there. There's Banff in Alberta. There's a lot of mountains in Vancouver where you can go snowboarding and skiing, and then obviously you're by the water where you can go surfing, and then you're just like kind of above California in the States as well. If you're not into all that sort of stuff and you're just looking to be in the city and you want like hustle bustle and chaos and you like the corporate atmosphere and you want to be around different cultures and vibrancy, then a lot of people prefer to go to Toronto. Some people who want a really silent, quaint life, they want to go to like St. John's, Newfoundland, which is east and it's an island and it's very beautiful. If you're into the mining industry, then people want to go to Alberta, which is where all the mining sort of stuff is. So again, I can't really tell you where you should go. It's a very, very sort of personal opinion or option, I guess. It really depends on what your priorities are. There are nice and really, really bad neighborhoods everywhere. So I think overall Canada is a safe country. I think it really depends on where you're living. So if you're living in a more sort of, you know, rough neighborhood, no matter where you are, it's going to be less safe. So um, I know I'm not really answering the question, but I think I can't really help you guys solve all of your traveling problems. It's just that I've been getting a lot of questions about where you guys should go, where you should live, and I keep saying that it really depends on where you want to be and what you want to be around. I think as long as you're in one of the bigger cities, you will have a good time. But I know people who've gone to Saskatchewan, which is, not as vibrant and colorful in terms of races and cultures, but they have a great time because it's a very different experience, and it's also a great kind of culture shock. So, again, it's just do your research, see what your priorities are, what you like, and then accordingly decide what is the best place for you based on your lifestyle. If you're very athletic and fit and you like to be outdoors, Vancouver might be the place. But then again, there's nothing stopping you from being athletic and adventurous in any part of the country. Okay, now job-wise, what is the economy like, or what's the job market like? I don't think getting a job in Canada is exceedingly easy. I don't think it is tough either. I think it depends on the demand for whatever industry you're in, and where you are. Like I said, Alberta is the mining industry. So if that's your specialty and you're like, trying to get a job in Toronto in mining, I don't know if that would be easy. I'm sure if you were in Alberta, it would be a lot easier. I don't work in HR, so it's not something I have a lot of skill in, but it does take a long time to get a job. It is a bit of a process. You have a couple weeks based of interviews, and you have to go through all these processes before any company will hire you, because any company wants to make sure that you are the right candidate for them. So ideally, sort of go through a recruiting agency, or anyone that can help you go over your resume and tell you best where you should be based on what your skill set is and where you should find a job in that industry. So like government jobs, sorry, before I forget, government jobs, you want to go to Ottawa, which is the capital city. A lot of people don't know that. More sort of corporate jobs, probably Toronto is your best bet, Montreal, Vancouver. If you're more on the artsy side, Vancouver is your ideal place. Mining, Alberta, etc., etc., etc. I also realize I'm only talking about 3 cities in such a large country, but I'm also realizing this video has gone way too long and I have not finished talking about everything. So, okay. Alright, so I think I've done everything. The only thing that I wanted to mention is that life in Canada overall is really, really good. I think the quality of life is good, the pay structure is good, and any person who goes there and gets a job and works hard, you are able to afford anything that you really want to do. I think it's a great country to move to and live in. I am so proud to be a Canadian citizen, and even though I'm trying to live in Australia, but whatever. So, I think that hopefully I've given you guys enough information today to take away. I'm so sorry that this video is relatively long, but I was trying to incorporate as much as I could. So hopefully I did that, and I'm really sorry if I have been absent for a while, but please leave your questions and comments down below, and know that I'm always reading all the stuff that you guys leave behind, and I'm trying to answer all of it, and so I will try and cater to your questions and make the next video. Until I see you guys next time, think strong and be happy, and I'll see you soon. Bye.